Hi, this is Kelly from 1-2 Plus Me and You, and today I'm going to show you how to make a crinkle tag blanket. And in this case, it's actually not going to be a blanket with the size that could cover up a baby or a small child. It's going to be more of, I guess, a chew toy or a play toy for the baby. As you can see, I've chosen some car fabric. This is just a basic 100% cotton, and I've cut 2 pieces square 10 inches by 10 inches. I've also cut a bit of ribbon. My ribbon is pretty much all the same size except for this yellow. This is a little bit wider than the other ribbon, and as you can see, it's about this length or the width of my finger. But with this ribbon, I've cut 5 different ribbons for each of them, and they're all 4 inches in length. And then I've also taken a bag, and this bag is just a plastic bag, so you can find plastic food bags left over. Of course, you're going to want to wash it first. Maybe you have ones for cereal or for rice or whatever, but it would work just fine. And you're going to cut that at the same length and width as your material. So that'll again be 10 by 10 inches. For the first step, you are going to take your plastic bag and you are going to put it on the wrong side of one of the pieces of fabric. And you're just going to pin it down just so that way it's not going to move. And you're going to baste it all the way around. And what basting really is just sewing it very closely to the edge, maybe about 1/4 of an inch seam line. And you don't need to do any back stitching, it's just to keep the bag on. You're going to sew that space again when you put your ribbons on. So that's next. Next, you'll want to take your ribbon and you're going to pin it down to this piece that you just sewed. I do about a thumb space, and then I pin the ribbon. Make sure that the bottom part is facing out and the good part is facing in for all of them. Then I do 2 fingers, another ribbon, 2 fingers, another ribbon, and I keep going down. And then when I get down here to the bottom, again, I'm about a thumb space from the bottom, but maybe I'll do 2 fingers here just to make sure there's enough space in between those 2. And again, 2 fingers, and then I will continue with the pattern. So obviously next is orange. I'm going to do that all the way around with the pinning. Now, as you can see, I have the ribbons pinned down all the way around. And again, when you're putting in your pins, you'll want to make sure that the pointed edge is kind of facing towards the line that you're going to be sewing. Then what you'll do is you'll take the other piece of fabric and you're going to do right sides, so you're going to kind of flip it on top. You'll want to make sure that if you've got a certain pattern going, I mean, obviously this one, the cars are right side up on both sides, so I wouldn't want anything to be upside down. I mean, it's up to you. It doesn't matter, but that might be one thing you don't quite think about. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to align all of the edges, and then I'm going to pin it in the corners. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the other piece when I was attaching the plastic bag. But instead of just basting it, I'm going to sew all the way around. I'll probably pick, maybe I'll just pick this side. So I'll start here, because I don't really want to start on an end. I'll start here and backstitch, sew all the way around, and then I'm going to come in again another perhaps 2 inches here and then backstitch. That way I will have an opening to turn out my blanket. I have gone ahead and attached them now. I looked at this side when I was sewing, just so that way I could just continue on the same line that I had done before with my basting. Now I'm just going to trim off the edges so that way it's kind of at an angle. and then I am going to turn it right side out. Once you've right-sided it out, again, making sure that you're punching out these corners, you should have first taken out those 4 pins that held the extra piece to the piece that you'd been working on. So those should be taken out first, and then when you flip it through, then you'll want to make sure that you take out all of the pins that are left over. You really only have now 2 pins left over. If that's how much space you gave yourself. Maybe you have 3 pins left over, if that's how big of a space that you have. But you'll want to leave those in so that way the ribbon doesn't move on you. Now you want to make sure it's tucked in, and you're going to fold under both sides. And really you could, you know, add extra pins to keep this more secure. And then you're just going to top stitch it. Really what you could do, just to make it look the same all the way around and maybe even reinforce the ribbons a little bit, is start at the end and then work your way and just do a top stitch all the way around, and that'll make it look a lot nicer. Again, your fabric should coordinate with the material that you've chosen. Mine is white, so you won't be able to see anything. And then when you're all done, this is pretty much what your blanket is going to look like. And again, it's not really a blanket. It's more just a toy for a baby. And they'll be able to crinkle it and play with the tags. You can make these in any size. You can make them smaller. Of course, you'll need fewer ribbons. And if you make it larger, then you'll need extra ribbons. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I'll sew this around and show you the finished product. I've gone through now and sewn it all the way around, and this is the finished product. Again, baby can have fun crumbling it up and making the noises, as well as feeling the different ridged or soft ribbons.